Hello, welcome. If I have not had the pleasure of meeting you live, I'm Courtney. It's wonderful to have you here. I just wanted to take a few moments today to share a little bit about where provision conversations were birthed from and somewhat of my heart intention and vision around hosting these conversations, which have begun as like podcast style interviews. They've started out with men. Eventually I'll host the conversations with women too, but there's an intention about starting these conversations with men. So if you're new, this might be a little new to you, but I know for a lot of who've been in my world for some time and you've tracked on the conversation around masculine provision, you know some of the background. But as a refresher, and for those who don't, so these conversations started out as a conversation within myself of what is masculine provision, what is it internally, what is it spiritually, and how does that then form itself externally in the form of my life. Little did I know this curiosity begun a long time ago. I would even say like in my teen years, not one that I could have put that language to now. And at the end of the day, I do want to make it very clear that these conversations are just words with an energetic and intentive backing behind it, which is my heart and hope for you to receive, not the words. So if you take it as just the information, it's not really going to do a lot for you. And with that being said, these are just some prefaces. I guess I just paused the vision conversation, but that's okay. You don't have to agree with everything said. I think that's like a go without saying in most of public forum conversations. I never expect for an agreeable, broadened spectrum, which is why I intend to host these with a wide array of men and eventually women. So we'll just say that. It really sparked out of this place within me initially in my younger days around in the realm of being provided for by God. And I think for most of us, when we first hear the word provided for, our mind immediately goes to money and finances. And the truth is, provision is not money. Money is money. Provision is, and I don't want to complete the sentence for you, and that's how most of these conversations start. But I will say, provision is a sight. Provision is a place we can source our seeing from. It's a place within, not without, that becomes without depending upon where we're sourcing our sight from. And I know for a lot of humans, the conversation starts around provision based upon a preconceived notion of what it means to be in abundance. But again, provision is not abundance. Provision is a sight. Can we be in a lack of money and live in provision? So originally the conversation in written form had started out like if you're not connected to me on Facebook, if you want to see some of the written form, that is where I host a lot of those pieces. It started more as a conversation around like feminine, masculine dynamics of provision and what it means for a woman to be protected and provided for and covering, first and foremost by God, and then within her partner. I won't share much about that here on my personal experience. I assume maybe I'll get into that a bit as these conversations go. I don't know. We'll see. I actually save some of the more intimate pieces for private conversations and private containers that are going to be existing soon. But within the experience that I've had, it kept me in a continual curiosity of, even when I have a thing that I once said that I want, like an external form of provision in the form of a thing, and I still feel a sense of lack, what is really occurring? When I look at provision in the form of direct man and woman and being covered by a man without first having that inherent and innate knowing of a covering that I have by God, where am I really sourcing the sight from? So these are questions I kept myself on. What does it mean to live from provision? What does it feel like? And day by day, that might change. What I see and what's around me, is it based upon a story of how I think it should look, of how I think it should be differently? Do I look at men as provisionary sources from a place of internal lack within myself? Knowing that there is no way any man or woman can walk into my life and provide a level of covering that I haven't first found within myself, knowing where covering starts from, where I was originally created from. I don't need to define a lot of these things for you or even for myself. I actually think it's very important that we stay in the conversation in a way that allows for you to go on your own journey of asking the questions yourself. Something I say often is, well, let's say, like as an example, within pieces of writing that I host, is if you've read them before, you find that they're sometimes a little bit ethereal, or maybe not even ethereal, but they don't always provide a direct logical explanation, unto which I will sometimes get the response of something like, can you explain this sentence to me? Or, what did you mean when you said this? And I'm totally cool with having dialogue and conversations in support of someone finding that clarity within themselves. But that's what it's always about, finding that clarity within themselves. So there will be times I won't answer. And if I write a sentence, I won't explain further, because in doing so, I have blocked that communication channel that you have with God, because I am now your source of certainty. No one is your source of certainty. No other human being can ever be your source of certainty. And when we try to seek in that way, and we go on a seeking way of being in life in that way, we miss out on the innate wonder that we were gifted as a child. Provision began far before we were born. And when we were born, and as we were born, we didn't know any differently. I know that in some of the ways that I share how I experience it and what I know it to be, that not everyone will agree with, and that's okay. Take it as an opportunity when you have those questions of, what does she mean when she says this? Or this conversation was hosted in a way that I can't really jive with. That's totally cool. I just ask that you don't close the book in a dogmatic way of limiting decisiveness, or like definitions themselves. Like if I define for you what provision is, that definition is going to be limiting, because a word is just a word. And the first interview I hosted with Galen London was really beautiful in that way of the path we went down. And even in this conversation, I even found myself, as I'm asking him some of the questions that I did, like feeling a sense of discomfort in what it feels like in this body to keep going down like furthering paths of questioning around something that I once thought I knew so well, knowing that I don't have to know or have it figured all out in my mind, because that in itself would be a limitation. These conversations, although in a lot of ways, in the way I write about it, it seems like it's for women. I think they are also for men, which is why I'm hosting men in the conversation. I'm really looking forward to presencing these conversations in front of others. They are mostly just questions that I've had on this journey on many different journeys of entrepreneurship, journeys of self-discovery, of faith, of being in the world of polarity teachings, feminine, masculine conversations, where there's always a point I get to it, but I'm like, what about this? And what about this? And I can feel that like childlike excitement in me to get to ask the questions, while at the same time being met with that like, oh God, maybe I don't want to know. But I'm in it. And I invite you to be in that place with me as you're ready. And as you decide to go down that path, I would love to hear what arises for you, and to hear your own perspectives, your sights, what life has shown you about the provision that is right here, right now. That whatever we seek for in the realm, in the idea of a provisionary future, may we find it in the beauty of we've been gifted as the life that we get to live. And so wherever you are in the world, listening, watching, receiving, I pray these conversations bless you. They bless your family. They bless your home and your hearts. And I just really look forward to opening these dialogues and energetic exchanges